Transplant comes with big risks. It can be fatal. So doctors have to balance each case on a risk and benefit ratio. But there are subgroups of patients like Aditi where the kidney disease involves the immune system. About 1 in 3 million children here in the UK. Doctors say for those patients, it may be worth the risk. 3 years ago, they sat here discussing her future. Now Aditi is back at school, her body caring for itself. Sadia Chowdhury, Sky News, at the Great Ormond Street Hospital in London.
Heat-related deaths in England and Wales are on the rise and hit the highest point since records began last year, but are still far behind deaths caused by cold weather. The latest Office for National Statistics data looks at mortality rates on the hottest and coldest days between 1988 and 2022. In that time, an estimated 51,670 deaths in England and 2,186 deaths in Wales were linked to the hottest days. Colder weather caused more deaths in that time, an estimated 199,298 deaths in England and 16,474 in Wales. In 2022, an estimated 4,507 deaths were associated with the hottest days in England, the highest numbers since records began. In contrast, 1,214 people did die due to the cold weather last year, the second lowest on record. Gosh, a lot of numbers there for you to digest. Well, to help us do so, our health correspondent Ashish Joshi joins us from the newsroom. Ashish, are we talking causation here or correlation? And what are the other key takeaways from this data for you?
We don't know, Will, the reasons why people are affected by extreme temperatures, whether they're temperatures above 23, 25 degrees Celsius or below 5 degrees. Those are the extreme parameters as far as the data in this ONS release is concerned. They haven't given us, or in this data set, they haven't made a direct link between the causes of death, what's driving these deaths. This is looking at trends and patterns over those 35 years and seeing what impact rising temperatures or extreme cold temperatures have on the number of people who die. We don't know why they die, but we can look at the correlation. We know that extreme heat causes problems with respiratory, as far as your respiratory functions, as far as pollution is concerned. But we also know that the extreme cold, you have problems with cardiovascular problems. Just look back at last winter, and you see what impact the flu season has, and the number of people it kills when flu season is particularly bad. So we know extreme heat and extreme cold has a major impact on health outcomes. What this data set is looking at is whether the trends are upwards or downwards, and we've seen as the average temperature in the UK rises, so too is the number of people who are dying. And there are various reasons for that, which this particular set of data doesn't explain. But we also know that the number of people dying because of cold is still greater than the number of people who are dying because of the heat, and that's because there are better protections in place, and the extreme heat is less likely to happen over a summer. There are extreme heat days like we saw last year, but not generally affecting people as bad as the cold does.
Ashish, thanks so much. Now, NHS Devon has warned it might have to redirect non-critically ill people from emergency departments to services at nearby hospitals because of pressure due to doctors' strikes. The Trust says its hospitals are entering the highest level of escalation, with many struggling to fill their rotas last night and for this evening as junior doctors remain on strike. Well, today's the third day of walkouts by junior doctors this week. They go back to work tomorrow. Consultants who were on strike on Tuesday and Wednesday have already returned. For 3 days next month, junior doctors and consultants will again strike at the same time. Emergency care will be equivalent to Christmas Day staffing, with elective care, including non-urgent operations, likely to be cancelled or postponed. Well, Sky's Dan Whitehead is at the Royal Devon and Exeter Hospital for us. And Dan, I mean, it doesn't bode well for those days next month where both groups will be striking for 3 days. The scale of problems is being experienced when that only happened for 1 day this past week.
Yeah, I think the fact that NHS Devon has gone to this highest level of alert, it's called OPEL 4, it's an escalation level. Essentially, it triggers hospitals and NHS services within NHS Devon, in this case, to be able to pull on other resources and so forth. But I think the fact that they've done this because purely of the strike action, the consultant strike is finished, but the junior doctors one continues till 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, is stark, and it's having an impact particularly on the rotas at hospitals here in Devon. We're at Exeter, it's affecting Torbay, the likes of Derriford in Plymouth. It's affecting the rotas specifically in the evening, and that is going to happen as well tonight. In the last hour I had a quick chat with Adrian Harris. He's the Chief Medical Officer of the hospital here. He was outlining how big an impact this is actually going to have. In terms of the numbers of people, it's not too significant, tens, not hundreds. It may see people diverted to other hospitals if they're non-critical. So if they've broken an arm or a bone or something, there's no capacity at A&E here in Exeter, they may have to go to a different hospital elsewhere in Devon, or vice versa. OPEL 4, this highest alert level, is not uncommon in the winter, and it was used by a number of hospitals across the country during the heat waves in the summer. So it's not unheard of, but I think it's particularly significant that it's come within the strike action, and that's the main reason. The advice from health officials here in Devon is that if you've got a critical illness, if you've got an emergency, still call 999, still go to your A&E, you will be treated. It is those non-critical patients who may have to go elsewhere to be looked at.
Dan, thanks so much. Now, the allegation of India's involvement in the killing of a Sikh Canadian is based on surveillance of Indian diplomats. That reportedly includes intelligence provided by a member of the Five Eyes Alliance, which includes the US, UK, Australia, New Zealand and Canada. Let's get an update on this story from Sky's Neville Lazarus, who joins us now from New Delhi. Neville, you spoke earlier in the week, just this story in general, the accusation originally from Justin Trudeau and Canada's foreign minister went down incredibly badly in India. Is India seeing this as legitimate extra evidence, or are they still receiving this as badly as before?
Well, the Indian government has been consistently saying that that Canada has not provided any evidence to these allegations. It also said that it is talking to the major allies of India, that includes the United Kingdom and America. But at the moment, they are miffed that there hasn't been any specific information provided by the Canadian authorities. There has been sort of a blistering criticism and scathing attacks by the foreign ministry out here, saying that Canada must be concerned of its reputation being a safe haven for terrorists, extremists and criminal gangs. We've seen these relations between the two countries going from bad to worse. Senior diplomats have been expelled from Ottawa and from here in New Delhi. The Indians have suspended visa facilities for Canadians across the world, and have asked the Canadian government to draw down its mission out here and bring about parity in its rank and strength. So the Indians have been very blistering in their attacks and scathing, and saying that these are politically motivated and absurd allegations, and so far they have not received any sort of evidence or specific information on these allegations.
Neville, thanks so much for joining us. Neville Lazarus there for us in New Delhi. Now, the return of summer weather last month helped retail sales recover despite a hit from weaker demand for fuel. The Office for National Statistics says sales rose 0.4% last month, a little lower than economists were expecting, but up from a revised fall of 1.1% the month before. That comes after a surprise drop in inflation to 6.7% earlier this week. And the Bank of England decided to hold interest rates at 5.2% yesterday after 14 consecutive increases. Well, our business presenter Ian King joins me now. I mean, Ian, it's been a decent or less bad set of data points this week on the economy. This one sort of fits within that category relative to the prior month, albeit actually a little worse than had been forecast at the margin coming into today.
Yeah, that's right. These numbers were shy of expectations, as you say, Will. bear in mind that July was the 6th wettest July since 1837, and you saw a big drop off accordingly, as you say, 1.1%, albeit revised higher from 1.2%. You would have expected a rebound under those circumstances. It's what we got, but 0.4% was shy of the 0.5% rally that the market was looking for. And when you delve into the detail, there's some interesting sector that did quite well here, analysis. For example, and it kind of chimes with what we heard from the British Retail Consortium, who published their own set of figures. And so categories such as beauty and cosmetics did reasonably well. Books did quite well. Obviously, back to school and college season might have helped with that particular category. But some of the big ticket categories, white goods, the likes of refrigerators, doing less well. And I think that probably speaks to some of the weakness that you're seeing creeping into the housing market now. And I think the other thing to really talk about here, Wilf, is the year-on-year comparison. Year-on-year sales volumes, we're talking about the quantity of stuff, remember, not the value of stuff that's been bought. Well, that was down 1.4% on the same month last year. And really that speaks to the fact, I think, that you are seeing an impact now from some of these interest rate rises. Don't forget, there's been a fairly well-established narrative that not all of the impact of the 14 interest rate rises that the Bank of England has delivered since the end of 2021 have hit home yet. And I think that year-on-year comparison really does suggest that they now are doing so.
Ian, thanks so much. Some of today's other stories now. The Mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, has announced a new London policing board made up of representatives from around the city that he says will help scrutinise the Met. The brother of Stephen Lawrence, who was murdered in a racially motivated attack in 1993, is among those on the board. We will be speaking to the Mayor 10:30 a.m, so not long now, 10 minutes. NatWest says no customer will be left out of pocket after a glitch with its cash deposit machines. People complained money they'd put in their accounts wasn't showing up, leading to them being wrongly overdrawn. The bank says the technical issue has now been resolved. A late winter heatwave and strong winds are fanning several wildfires in Brazil. Soldiers have been deployed to help firefighters. Much of Brazil has been in the grip of record temperatures for the past week. The King and Queen are wrapping up their state visit to France today with a tour of a sustainable vineyard near Bordeaux. Charles has already addressed the French Parliament and attended a state banquet at the Palace of Versailles on the historic trip. Let's bring in our royal correspondent, Laura Bundock, who's there in Bordeaux for us this morning. Laura, two questions from me, one unimportant and one important. The important one is how well they have been received. Of course, the highlight being, or perhaps the most significant part being, that address in the French Senate yesterday. The unimportant one, but still of interest, will he be doing a bit of wine tasting as well, or just observation?
I'll come to that. Look, let's answer number one first. I think this trip has gone down as well as the palace would have hoped. It was all about restoring relations after the turbulence of Brexit, the very frosty relationship between former prime ministers and France. And I think this was seen as this royal charm offensive to try and smooth things over again slightly. And to that, the French really did pull out all the stops at the start. You're right, the banquet at the Palace of Versailles, this enormous ceremony at the Arc de Triomphe, and then the diplomatic high point yesterday, the King being given the privilege of being able to speak at the Senate. No other British monarch has done that, and I think the fact he spoke mostly in French went down very well among all the politicians who'd been gathered there. But what he said also went down well. Lots of talk about friendship, about the entente cordiale, lots about the support for Ukraine, warm words about his late mother, who he said loved France and France loved her. And then, of course, the climate. He was suggesting this entente of sustainability, that the two countries can do more together in the climate crisis. So that was what they wanted to hear in the Senate, and there was this standing ovation at the end. Here in Bordeaux, they're heading to the town hall when they arrive. That's where the big riots were in March, the riots that caused the cancellation of this visit. There's talking about commerce, they're talking about defence, and then you're right, there is more on the environment. The King looking at ways, firstly, to deal with the threat of forest fires in light of the climate crisis, and then he is heading to that vineyard. So in answer to question two, of course it's an organic, a sustainable vineyard, as you'd expect from the King. I would imagine at the end of a very busy 3 days, he will probably want to toast what he will see as a successful state visit here.
Laura, thanks so much for that. Lucky King, that'll sure be delicious. This is Sky News Today. Lots more still to come. Ukraine's president secures a large military aid package during a whirlwind trip to Washington. The world's biggest football game is back, but with a new title after gaming giant EA Sports cuts ties with FIFA. And ahead of his first anniversary as Prime Minister, we'll hear from his wife, Akshata Murthy, about how life has changed at number 10.
7 marathons, as you said, through the most remote corners of all 7 continents. So far I've ran through the desert in Africa, through a desert in Asia, I've ran through Alaska in North America, and I've also ran through the Australian outback for the Oceania chapter. And I'm now approaching a really exciting time with 3 months of 3 back-to-back expeditions through the Amazon jungle in October, Arctic Circle in November, and Antarctica in December. You know, where I started this project was in the desert in Africa. Temperatures were close to 40 degrees, which as a redhead you can imagine has its own challenges. And we'll conclude this project in Antarctica, where temperatures will be as low as -25. So there's a huge contrast, and as you said, these are not normal conditions, these are abnormal conditions, and therefore my training can't be normal either. So I'm often preparing in hot chambers, cold chambers, doing everything I can to prepare myself as best as possible. My grandfather, Captain Rick Taylor, he served in the British Army for 38 years. He served all around the world, but it was sadly his battle against dementia which took his life. And I had the huge honour at his funeral of delivering his eulogy, and there I made a promise to support the fight against dementia until we find a cure. And as my challenges grow, so must my purpose. So today I'm publishing an open letter to the Prime Minister. I'm asking for a £16 million investment into improving diagnostics. So currently in England, 1 in 3 people with dementia are never formally diagnosed, which is incredibly sad. And it means when these new potentially life-changing treatments do become available, thousands of people are going to be missing out on drugs that they deserve and they won't be able to get access to because of inadequate diagnosis. There's been so many, it's inspiring hope in so many millions of us around the country. But the sad fact is, without people being able to get diagnosed accurately and early, then the treatments won't have its full effect. Dementia is the biggest killer in the UK. Currently, 1 in 4 hospital beds are occupied by dementia patients. So I hope so, and I hope doing this challenge, as you said, running all around the world, I hope we can potentially bring a little bit of spotlight back to why this is so important.
Ukraine's president has secured another large military aid package during a whirlwind trip to Washington. But as Volodymyr Zelensky met politicians from both parties, he faced new questions about the flow of American dollars that have helped his forces resist Russia's invasion. This report from our US correspondent Mark Stone contains flash photography.
At Washington's National Archives and framed by America's history, Ukraine's president was here to remind this country that it is defining his nation's history right now. It was an evening of gratitude. Medals for some of the American medical teams who have helped so many injured Ukrainians back to health. It was the end of a long day to thank America and the West.
Mr. President, thank you for all these 575 days. Yes, and thanks to American people. All these days they are together with us, with Ukrainians, with ordinary people, all of us. Thank you so much.
But he was here to ask for more too, and he got it.
I approve the next tranche of U.S. security assistance to Ukraine, including more artillery, more ammunition, more anti-tank weapons, and next week, the first U.S. Abrams tanks will be delivered to Ukraine.
From the White House to the Pentagon, a wreath. And a moment to reflect with his wife. They carry a heavy burden. Flanked by America's top general and defense secretary, the men providing the weapons still for this battle. But for how long? Well, that is up to the politicians. And in Congress, as a faraway war drags on, there are questions, there are concerns, and there are some influential doubters.
And so it isn't just the White House or the Pentagon, it is here, Capitol Hill, where his focus is, where he is shuttling the corridors, trying to shore up support.
Zelensky hears that vocal, unhappy minority on the Republican, Trumpian right. The meetings were private, just photos of the moments they asked him what the plan for victory was. He told them only that it was getting closer.
We talked about a lot of different things. I thought it was a very good, I thought it was a direct, I thought it was productive. I raised issues with them, we're very concerned about accountability.
President Zelensky, is your message getting through?
The The starkest insight of Ukraine's message came from the Senate Majority Leader.
There was a single sentence that summed it all up, and I'm quoting him verbatim. Mr. Zelensky said, "If we don't get the aid, we will lose the war."
President Zelensky ended the day reassured that for now America is with him, but turbulence here impacts far away. All politics is local. Mark Stone, Sky News in Washington.
We're going to have a quick look at the weather now.
Warm memories wherever you.
It's the autumn equinox this weekend, and the weather certainly feels quite autumnal with chilly nights and blustery winds, not to mention some heavy downpours. For most, today brings a mix of sunny spells and scattered showers, some of which could be heavy and possibly thundery. It will feel cool in the northwesterly breeze with strong gusts across western Scotland and Northern Ireland. That's your weather.
Like a river, how endeth my way.
The family and Christian community, friends and loved ones of Apostle Mark Nyako and Mrs. Victoria Nyako wishes to invite friends, sympathizers and loved ones to the one-week observation at Newman Christian Center, 87 Beddington Lane, Croydon, CR04TD. The event will be taking place on Friday, the 6th of October, 2023, from 6 to 9 p.m. Bus routes 466, 463, when Tramlink, Beddington Lane, and then there is free parking on the scene at the scene as well. So wherever you do, make your way there. For further information, please contact Evelyn 075-5463-8421 or Kojo 073-7592-8737 or Sheila 079-8359-1818. See you there.
Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission-free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Star Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamp.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamp@gmail.com. Well Lamp Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Hi there. Are you dreaming of owning your own house in Ghana? Then you will need a well-documented piece of land that is free from troubles. I highly recommend My Africa Property for any size of land that you will need. With My Africa Property, lands are available in Pram, Sopoli, Tohenia, Ogome, Dodova, Winneba, and many other locations at affordable prices. These locations are about an hour away from the airport, only 35 minutes from the motorway, 10 minutes drive from Central University College, 10 minutes drive to the beach, and close to Pram Senior High School and Ghana Men's Soccer Center of Excellence. For more details, visit our website www.myafricaproperty.com or call our UK office on 0208 123 2523. For our US and Canada offices, call us on +1 585 184 994145. You can also email us at ghana@myafricaproperty.com.
Tune in to On Point here on Starr Radio UK with Empress Regina every Monday at 5 p.m. GMT. Looking forward to your company.
Getting onto the property ladder has never been easy until now. Join us this and every Thursday from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. live on the Property Hour Show on Starr Radio UK, where we talk to mortgage brokers, property developers, estate agents, landlord, tenant, property consultants on how to invest or get into the property business and make money. You can't afford to miss this. The Property Hour Show is your best source into the property industry.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Star, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Are you looking for the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy door-to-door shipment company? Well, look no further. When was the last time your family received a shipment back in Ghana on time and in time? You are not sure? Well, Lamb Shippers, we pride ourselves with being the fastest, reliable, and trustworthy shippers you can use. You are assured of a prompt pickup anywhere in the UK by our personnel. They also make sure your items are well packaged to get to its destination in time. When it comes to door-to-door shipment, look no further. Well, Lamb Shippers, contact us on 07939009321 or 07498911820. Or you can visit our website www.welllamb.co.uk. You can also drop us a mail, info@welllamb@gmail.com. Well Lamb Shippers, fast, reliable, and trustworthy.
Like a river, I'm taking my way.
The family and Christian community, friends and loved ones of Apostle Mark Nyako and Mrs. Victoria Nyako wishes to invite friends, sympathizers, and loved ones to the 1 week observation at Newman Christian Center, 87 Beddington Lane, Croydon, CR04TDD. The event will be taking place on Friday, the 6th of October, 2023, from 6 to 9 p.m. Bus routes 466, 463, when Tramlink, Beddington Lane, and then there is free parking on the scene as well. So wherever you do, make your way there. For further information, please contact Evelyn 07554638421 or Kojo 07375928737 or Sheila 07983591818. See you there.
The best radio show. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
All around the world. In your car.
At work.
At home.
On your smartphone.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Are you ready to turn it up?
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you find that life is still worthwhile if you just smile. Hey, this is Archie and you are listening to Starr Radio UK and The Morning Show.
This is Starr Radio. This is
UK.
Starr Radio UK. This is Starr Radio UK.
Welcome. Broadcasting worldwide, online 24/7.
Enlighten your day with Starr Radio.
Love for you runs deep. All of you makes my heart beat. You make the doubt they fade. Jesus, and that's what makes you great. You hold the world in your hands. The hand I'm
Okay, let me say massive good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good dawn to you wherever you might be on planet Earth, and those of you on other planets as well. We want to salute each and every one of you, and once again welcome you to the Friday edition of the morning show. Today is the 22nd day of September, the year 2023. Time now 10:46 from the House of London. It is Starr Radio UK, the Friday edition of the morning show, of course. I remain yours sincerely, the one and only.
This is the morning show with Archie.
Let me say good morning to my team this morning, Mr. Olayomi, Koiki, Mr. Tabiri, and my able producer, Mr. Francis Guy. And also, let me say good morning to Mr. Frank Davids in town as well, my brother Kojo D, Felix all the way in Aberdeen. And to all you wonderful people who are listening to us here in the UK. And let me also say good morning to Bishop Adeshin, Pastor Mo, Pastor Emmanuel Chidi. Olakunle, good morning. Aziz, good morning to you. Anthony Adedeji, I salute you, sir. Hey, Rachel, I hope you are doing very well as well. I salute you. But wherever you have tuned in to us, let me put it this way, all protocol observed. And once again, welcome to the program. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time to listen to us on the program, this is how the program goes. I'm going to bring you the quote for the day, the weather forecast will follow suit, then the travel updates. Don't move on from there to have a look at some of the stories making the rounds across the globe, known as Global Trotting. Then at 11 o'clock, we have Mr. Olayomi Koiki, who will be joining in to bring you updates from Nigeria. The conversation continues till 12 o'clock when I open the lines for you to add your voice to the discussions. But before then, if you want to let your voice or your thoughts known, now you can put it on our Facebook page or Twitter or YouTube channel, and I will read that. At 12:30, the first part of the program is brought to an end, and we take you straight to Kent, where our money man, Mr. Dan Tabiri, CEO of GIL Accountancy Services, is, and we're going to be looking at the money hour. But now let's go straight to the quote of the day. Say, yesterday lies in the memory, and today lies in the imagination of today. So yesterday, whatever things did happen or didn't happen, is all a memory. Yeah.
Love for you,
but your imagination is what is going to create or make today whatever it has to be, what you are thinking in your head. And as the good book says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So what day have you set for yourself to be today? Interesting one. I want to know that. But it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. Let's move on straight to the weather front here in London and the southeast of England.
You hold the world in your hand.
Well, this afternoon we'll see variable cloud and scattered heavy showers develop with a chance of the odd rumble of thunder. There's going to be sunny spells between the showers. Tonight, the showers and variable cloud would dissipate to leave clear spells for many areas, with only a few areas of patchy cloud. A chilly night expected as well, with a few patches of mist developing. Top temperature is going to be 18 degrees, the lowest is going to be 8 degrees. So the single decade, so it's going to be cooler than it's been of late. UV level is going to be moderate, pollution is going to be low as well. Sunset 19 hours and sunrise for tomorrow morning 06:46 hours. And when it comes to tomorrow as well, top temperature 18 degrees, lowest 10 degrees, a mixture of cloud and sunshine. But Sunday we're going to be having a top of temperature 20 degrees and lowest 15 degrees, being a bit milder. So in a gist, that's what's going to happen today. It is your Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. takes the opportunity to take you straight to the travel update. Letting you know exactly what is happening in your travels, but share the broadcast with your friends and loved ones and invite them to like our pages as well.
Love for you runs deep.
So on the travel update this morning, yes. Those of you traveling or using the major roads in London, this is what you have. If you can avoid this, do A12, A23, A316, North Circular A406, and South Circular A205. They've got serious delay, so your best bet is to avoid them. Now, when it comes to the underground this morning, Bakerloo Line, Circle District, Hammersmith, and City lines have all got minor delays and severe delays, respectively. Now, the London Overground has got past suspension. That aside, all the other underground lines, good service. DLR and London Tramlink, good service there. Assuredly, the River Bus is running a very good service. London Cable Car, good service there. That brings us straight to the final segment of the travel update. That is the National Rail. So on the National Rail this morning, First Hall trains are Grand Central, London North Eastern Railway, Lumo Train, ScotRail, Southwestern Railway, Southeastern, Southern, Thameslink, and Transport for Wales have all got minor delays. So if you can avoid them, do your best to do so. But it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's take a quick break, and then I bring you, you know what I want to bring your way. Yes, Global Trotting.
Hi everyone, it's your girl BB Clement, the author of How to Go From Employee to Entrepreneur and the host of your weekly business show, BB Means Business, the show where we discuss everything you ever wanted to know about business but you were afraid to ask. How do I start my business? How do I raise the finance? How do I grow my business? Where am I going to find my customers? Join me every Tuesday at 1:30 p.m. on Starr Radio UK to get all the information and tips that you need to become a successful entrepreneur and become financially free. Remember, don't let life dictate to you. Rather, put your signature on life.
Welcome back to the program Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let's hit the ground running by bringing you everything that you need to know when it comes to Global Trotting. Shamsuddin, massive good morning to you. I hope you are doing very, very well. Thank God Nigeria has not happened to you. But well, when it comes to the story that we're going to be looking at this morning, when it comes to Nigeria, severe irreparable harm will be done to me if Chicago University releases my records. What is that for? Well. Tinubu begs U.S. senior judge. No, so what is wrong with providing that? Look, I was in this institution at this time or that time. So what irreparable, what damage can be caused by that? Well, interesting. Severe irreparable harm will be done to me if Chicago University releases my records. Tinubu begs U.S. senior judge. Now, and then Shatima say, you know what? God ordained Tinubu some politicians better than us. Shatima, Asiwaju, and I are occupying the prime position in this country, not because of our intellectual acumen or political sagacity, but purely by the grace of God. Really? Okay. All right then. We'll be telling you more about that. So if anybody does anything and becomes a leader of a country, whatever, whether foul or any means, well, it is the grace of God that has put them there. So everybody shut up and just toe the line, right? Okay, AMCON Managing Director Ahmed Kuru gave the advice at a media interactive session in Lagos. AMCON, the special debt recovery vehicle of the federal government, took over Arik Air in February 2017. AMCON asked Arik chairman to present 300 billion naira debt repayment plan. Okay, and then Mobile sympathizers dispersed with tear gas at Lekki toll gate. Why did they disperse them? Were they causing any traffic or what inconveniencing people? Is that why they dispersed them? Or what is wrong or what happened? What was the cause of the death of Mobile? Why so some people decide to protest? What about that? Stephen Otu, good morning to you, Steve. I hope you are doing very, very well as well. Academic record delay articles request. Tinubu tells U.S. court And then judge delayed Chicago University from releasing Tinubu's academic records to Atiku. It's one of the stories making the rounds there as well. It is interesting. Now, okay, whatever university that you went to, whatever education that you had, okay, unless of course you are lying, and if you lie under oath, then that is a problem, right? Interesting. So who was the lady, the person who went to the Chicago University? Maybe they will release it after Tinubu's first term has ended, right? Okay. Now let's move on to other parts of the world as well. Lots more there. Stephen, yes, that is my nephew there. I hope you are doing very, 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 very well, and the family there as well. Okay. So now let's crack on. Now when it comes to some of the other stories making the rounds on the African continent, Independence Day, Mali's junta cancels the festivities. Mali's ruling junta has cancelled the festivities planned to mark the anniversary of independence and is considering mobilizing reservists. To do what? We'll be telling you more about that. And then Guinea's leader says he defends coup in Africa and rebuffs the West, saying things must change. Things must change for what? Now, when it favors the West, it is a good thing to be done. We talk about the toppling of Saddam Hussein and killing him. The mayhem that's caused. Why? Because at the point he was saying that, look, Africa is going to get to a place where they don't need to go to the West or the developed countries for any loan. And that he, leading the troop, will make sure that there is enough money to be loaned out to African countries. You don't pay any interest on it, and then as on what you come and pay it back. With all those things that he was putting, those policies that he was putting across, they find ways and means to house him, and he died. Now, with this floods and everything that is happening there, it's quite interesting. So I laugh when I listen to everything that is happening. And I said, well, they'll be calling the ghost of Gaddafi and be begging him, and they'll be crying for him, because if he were there, I don't think they would have seen whatever they've seen now. Well. Starr ready, okay? Now let's move on to other parts of the African continent as well. Let's not focus our stories on colonization, Mahama, to Africans. What does it mean by that? I'll be bringing you more on that front. Let's not focus our stories on colonization. Now, former President John Mahama has said Africa will be engaging in this service to Africa when stories are centered on colonization. Now, speaking at the Humanity Summit 2023 in Faro, Portugal, Mr. Mahama stated that it is common knowledge that a divide and conquer strategy was executed within the individual colonized territories. And how true is that? And it's the same thing that is being panned out. Okay? And that is why I'm saying we need to wake up from our slumber and smell the coffee. Occupy Julobi House and unleashing terror squad on peaceful protesters. Shameful is one of the stories making the round. Unacceptable. That's what the minority is saying. They said that they wanted some group of people decided they want to go on a demonstration to picket at the Jubilee House. That is the seat of president. And then it all happened that the police said they filed an injunction against them. Now, they filed an injunction. I don't know whether these people have been served by the courts by that. Well, they decided to embark on the demonstration, and then the police, unleashed terror on these people. I've arrested, about 40 of them, 40 plus, thereabout. But the question is, the EC has blatantly, the EC of Ghana, the Electoral Commission of Ghana, blatantly, actually decided not to hearken to what the courts have said when it comes to the limited registration. The police didn't say anything. They didn't do anything about that to stop the registration that is going on, the limited registration that is going on. Now, some people decide, okay, we want to go on demonstration, we want to pick it at the Jubilee House. They're not going to be going in there. They're going to be signing outside there. But the police decide to unleash terror on them, and you call this what? Well. I rest my case. But it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. Now, when it comes to other stories making the rounds as well, Ukraine gets more U.S. aid as Zelensky urges allies to keep up support. Now, the question is the Ukrainian war suffering the fatigue, and those who were supporting it and everything now think Yeah, you know what? I think we have to now look home and look at our people, like what the Polish were saying, because they're talking about the grain that they thought they'd be having some grains coming into their bed, and it's not more coming, and all that stuff that is happening. But what do you think about all that? Let us know. Trudeau repeats allegation against India amid row. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has said that there were credible reasons for the allegation. Well, it is up to the Indians to come and justify what they mean by that. Now, if this person who is saying, is the head or leader of a group who are saying that, look, we Sikhs wish to have our own separate state, give them a chance to decide whether those in that area want that or not. We talk about democracy, but when we talk about democracy, in one way they do things and they're like, yeah, that is okay, in another way. But at times I do ask myself, what exactly is going on? Should everybody have their own way of governing themselves, nobody imposing whatever or what they think? What is good for you might not be good for me, right? Okay, so it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. Guantanamo defendant too damaged to stand trial. A military judge accept Ramsey Bin. Our ship is too psychologically damaged to defend himself. What has caused that? Okay, Euphoria Starr died of accidental drug overdose. Those are some of the stories making the rounds there as well. But this is all coming away from Starr Radio UK. In the UK, now police release new images of Sarah Sharif. Sarah's father, stepmother, and uncle are due to stand trial at the Old Bailey in September 2024. What brought about her death? Okay, girl is UK's first kidney recipient to not need long-term drugs. So doctors reprogrammed 8-year-old Aditi's immune system so she does not need daily anti-rejection drugs. That is quite an interesting one. Kudos to them. Tax cut virtually impossible at present. Hunt is saying, the Chancellor says the cost of public debt has left him with some very difficult decisions. Well, he will say that because, well, it's not hitting them as much as it's hitting everybody, is it? Yeah? Okay. If they have got mortgages to pay, as some of us have got, as some people have got, and bills to pay, as some are going through and are virtually scratching beneath the bottom of the barrel to make ends meet, then they will know what they're talking about. But for now, well. It is all coming away from Starr Radio UK. More going to be coming your way from there. So stay tuned. Don't you go away. We shall have Mr. Olayomi Koiki joining us in the next few moments. But now, let's enjoy this tune. And it says, the goodness of God. After all, the week has gone through. And it's Friday now. Well, it took the goodness of God to keep and sustain us. So let's join Christopher Martin on the goodness of God. A reggae version of it. And enjoy. I'll be with you once we have Mr. Olayomi Koiki.
I love you, Lord, for your mercy.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Broadcasting worldwide online 24/7.
In your hand, from the moment that I wake up until I lay my head. Oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful.
Well, listen to Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. And as I did say, we have Mr. Olayomi Koiki who has joined in. So you know what? Don't you worry. I'm going to bring you that song once we finish with the update from Nigeria. I promise you. If I forget, remind me. And I'm surely going to be doing that. The goodness of God. That is what has kept us, sustained us. But for now, let's go to our North London studios where we have our own, my co-presenter, Mr. Olayomi Koiki, all ready to fire on all cylinders. And let me say, Yomi, good morning.
Well, a very good morning to you, Mr. Archie. Very good morning to all our listeners and viewers from around the world. Good afternoon for those that are joining us in the other part of the world. And welcome once again to the Friday edition, the 22nd day of September 2023. And I say good morning to you, Frank, and also good morning to Mr. Dante, the money man. We love money, especially yesterday was a great news for many home lenders, sure, with inflation. But let me come back again to you in the studio, Mr. Archie.
Yes. How are you? How is the family doing?
Well, we are very great. The family is doing very well as well, and we are grateful that we are still here doing what we love to do. We can only be, pleased that some of us that have lived part of our life here, yesterday I was saying that it's now just about 25 years that I came into the country, and it's just like yesterday, when you look back, you just have to be grateful to life.
Yeah, of course. Being grateful is what is very important. But listeners, now we have to be grateful to what God is doing. But well, is God doing much in Africa? Somebody will say no, somebody will say yes. All right then, now let's go straight to what is happening in Nigeria. Now let's start it from this point. We'll come to Tinubu's certificate, but let's start it from, because I know by this time some people are suffering or are bracing themselves because their businesses are suffering because of the power outages there. Antonio Adedeji, massive good morning to you. Consumers are alleging a sabotage as grid collapses worsen outage. Now, I've been talking about this. That, don't you think that the fact that Nigeria up to now has not, the gas that Nigeria produces, they sell gas to even Ghana, as the West Coast. There are lots of the countries that they sell gas to and then give electricity to Niger and other places. Now, why can't Nigeria, the powerhouse of Africa, not have enough power for themselves? And I've been talking about the fact that I think those who are in the the apartment neighbor industry are the ones, or they can do anything to sabotage it, because if the national grid is going to be on, that means that it's going to be actually affecting their business. So, Yomi, is that what the consumers are saying in Nigeria today?
The consumers are ready to pay. Let's put it this way: many Nigerians will be ready to make the full payment for electricity if it is given to them. But the question is, why is the consumer now thinking that there might be like a sabotage as the grid collapse has worsened outrage? We know that the Nigerian Power Consumers Forum that have now come out to condemn the spat of disturbances on the national electricity grid and the most recent fire incident around the power transition infrastructure. The NPCF's convener, Michael Oka, is now raising a concern in a statement that was issued in Abuja yesterday. This was coming few days just after the Transition Company of Nigeria stated that for 400 days, the grid had been relatively stable, but from independent assessment, which started last year and up to this year, the forum was unable to confirm the various initiatives the Transition Company Nigeria deployed to stabilize the grid, include the use of Internet of Things and deployment of stopgap. The question is, if we now have sabotage within the system, then we should be very, very concerned, because when you sabotage the electricity, you are definitely sabotaging the economy and the the country itself. But from what we can say, that from Jaji, where we have 330 kV, these have caused nationwide outrage, and the question is, what is the government going to be doing to solve the problem of electricity? It has been going on for decades, and it seems that much investment will be needed in that particular sector.
I think that the electricity is a very lucrative. There is a demand there already. So I don't know why private investors are not trying to throw their cap in there. What do you think is putting people off by not getting themselves involved in it? Because like in this part of the world, we have various electricity providing companies, and there is that competition, and they have the regulator that tries that try to control them and stuff like that. What do you think? Why do you think up to now there are not individuals or private entities interested in investing in Nigeria's electricity?
Well, again, it's all about the investment. We need a lot of investment, in that particular sector, and investors need to come in. I remember that on the stock market in New York, the president was telling investors that they should come into the country and invest. But the concern about investors is, when we come into the country and invest, are we able to pull our money? It says that bottlenecks have been resolved, money can be pulled out. When you look at the power electricity in UK, you will know that the French company have invested so much. We will want something similar as well in most African countries and Nigeria. But the question is, who is ready to put in billions of dollars into a project, and then they'll be able to recoup to recoup their investment? But it seems that what the president is saying at the still ongoing sideline of the United Nations General Assembly is that investors should come in and they'll be able to pull their money out.
Okay, so investors should come in. So let's take the next story pertaining to South Korea being interested in Nigeria's lithium. Thank God, Ghana too got lithium in I think somewhere in the central region, and Nigeria has got lithium. So virtually, Africa, when it comes to Africa, we've got everything, but we are the most impoverished in the world. Now, he's calling the South Koreans to come in. Now, what are they going to do? Just take the lithium, the raw material out, and just take it to South Korea to develop and do whatever? Or are they going to be coming in, having a negotiation with them and saying that, look, we need to develop the lithium, okay? If you are going to produce battery cells or whatever things there in electric cells or whatever in Nigeria, so something of the sort. What did he say further to that?
Well, again, I don't think we have what it takes to, we have the raw materials. That is something that Africa have. We have them in abundance. I was actually saying this morning that the northern part of Nigeria can produce electricity because of the amount of sun in that part of the world today. And when you look at the African Union, we have 55 African Union compared to 27 from the European Union. And I was asking that if northern part of Nigeria was meant to generate electricity to African countries, how many countries do we think that we can supply? And to my surprise, many people say that we can actually supply up to 20 countries, but again, we would need the right equipment. We will need the right infrastructure, the research center. So when South Korea is indicating interest in the Nigerian lithium, well, not that Nigeria cannot make use of it, but we do not have what it takes to convert that lithium for the usage. And let's go into it. According to the South Korean government, has now indicated interest in the Nigerian lithium deposit, according to a statement that was issued yesterday. The statement that was signed by the Deputy Director of Information of the Nigerian Ministry of Solid Minerals and Development, Alaba Balogun, disclosed that the Nigerian government had now engaged the South Korean government at the 17th Korea African Economic Cooperation Conference in Busan in South Korea. And according to the statement, the engagement will focus on revising the 2006 Memorandum of Understanding between Nigeria and South Korea on investment in the solid mineral sector. South Korea doesn't have the mineral resources, they have the technology, they have what it takes to produce it, probably then sell it back to Nigeria, but we would have to give away that resources to South Korea to help us in developing it. But the statement noted that the Nigerian team comprises officials of the Ministry of Solid Minerals and Development and the Onando Mining Company, while the Korean Institute of Geoscience and also the Mineral Resources and the Korean Mine Rehabilitation and Mineral Resources Corporation were represented. For 63 years, we didn't have enough research center, and maybe this is something that the future government will have to look into so that we can convert what actually belongs to us as a resources and then sell it off. But it seems that South Korea, just as many other countries around the world, are more interested in the solid minerals. Again, the Director General of the Nigerian Geological Survey Agency, Dr. Abdulrazak Gaba, was actually represented by the new minister of the new solid minerals minister, Dele Alake. A lot of Nigerians thought Dele Alake would be the commissioner for information, or the minister of information rather, because he was a very allied and working with the Bola Tinubu when he was the governor in 1999. But according to what Dele Alake said, he actually put his interest to the president that he wanted to handle that particular sector. So let's see how that sector will be managed as the government is now going into more days and months, and many Nigerians will be expecting some kind of changes when it comes to our mineral resources from the northern part to the middle belt to the northeast, northwest, southwest and southeast, to make Nigeria great for those that believe in Nigeria, because I am definitely not one of them anymore.
Listeners, he's not one of them, but we are still going to be bringing you everything that we need to know about that geographical area known as Nigeria in West Africa, right? And everything that is happening on the African continent. But the question has been that we have all these minerals, like we said. I mean, if we were actually, if we're having good negotiators to see to negotiating that we will not sell this to them, and then we will be making what, maybe 10%, 15%. But if we say, okay, yeah, we got it, so maybe 50-50 or maybe 60-40. I don't know whether we don't have good negotiators. But well, listeners, that is something that you need to talk about. It's Mr. Olayomi Koiki and North London Studios. I'm actually here in the South Studios. We are bringing you updates from Nigeria. In the background, you can see Mobat's placard and people going around demonstrating. Candlelight vigil that's going to be taking place today. But apparently,
it took place yesterday.
Apparently, they were dispersed from the Lekki toll gate. Why? Were they causing traffic? Why? Were they destroying properties? And then the question now comes up that why? What was the cause of death of Mohbad? Yomi.
I woke up this morning because I slept a little bit early, yesterday, and waking up this morning to pick up news that what led to a candlelight procession for Mohbad that was, there's still allegation, but we have to still wait for more report from the Nigerian authority. While we dispersed Mohbad sympathizers with tear gas at Lekki, this is not a response from the Nigerian police. I've seen a particular video where a young girl was, probably, I believe, the canister from the tear gas affected her legs, and we hope, she's now taking treatment. But the Lagos State Police Command has said that it actually dispersed sympathizers who gathered to mourn the death of late singer Ireoluwa Aloba, also known as Mohbad, at the Lekki toll gate to forestall a recurrence of EndSARS saga. The question is it the right way, to put it, or should it have been done in a way that everyone, will be told to go back home? But again, many Nigerians are now asking the question whether yesterday was also hijacked. Because remember that there's still tension from the election, and if you ask an average Nigerian, they will say it seems that some political parties are trying to hijack, what is a peaceful candlelight for Mohbad, and some are saying that they want to take advantage and burn down Lagos State just like it was done in 2020. But many Nigerians are saying that the police handling of the issue should have been done properly. That shows that in 3 years after the EndSARS, it seems that the Nigerian police have not yet learned lessons when it comes to gathering of protesters rather than using force to get them out of the street.
It's quite an interesting one. It's quite an interesting one there. At what point that the police have to go in to be doing all sorts. But interestingly, Mohbad's body has been exhumed, his corpse has been exhumed, and a nurse has been arrested because apparently she was injected by a nurse before her demise. So what happened?
Sorry, can you repeat that? I lost it.
Now, I was saying that his body has been exhumed, the remains of Mohbad has been exhumed, and a nurse, the police are saying that a nurse has been arrested.
Yes, the nurse was the one that gave, from what we are being told, the nurse was the one that gave him the injection. Let me put it this way. In Nigeria, many Nigerians are used to getting injection. Any little things you are injected, and I think it's just the what we believe in. But the question is, was the nurse that gave the injection, was she well qualified? Was she capable of that job, or was it just what we called local sister nurse, which we have a lot of them? These are people that probably they've been told to leave the job, which I'm going to take you back to another story, or article rather, that is coming from the UK, is now concerned that the nursing center in Ibadan is now becoming a fraudulent center. And if the UK Nursing Council is raising concern over widespread of fraud in Ibadan Center, which I'm going to come back later, the question is, was this nurse still in practice, or was it just whatever it could be? But the police have now arrested the nurse that gave Mohbad the injection that we were told probably went wrong. But again, we will have to wait for more information from the authority in Nigeria.
Well, listeners will be following that very, very.
And if I can link that now to the other story, which is coming again, the Nursing and the Midwifery Council, right here in United Kingdom, say that there is now evidence of widespread fraud at the Unique Technology Test Center, Ibadan, southwest of Nigeria. This is following the alert that was raised by the Nursing and the Midwifery Council in May this year, that the registration of a total of 512 Nigerian nurses and midwives who passed at the CBT center in Ibadan could be fraudulent or incorrect. Not a very great news again for Nigerians, especially those that are honest. But when you have a test center that is being used as a fraudulent center, everyone will be affected. Consequently, the Nursing and Midwifery Council have now notified those who sat their CBT at the Unique Center that it needed to probe their data, and that means that 512 people that must have traveled out of the country, or those that are still processing their document to come and work in UK, your details will now be probed, because the Unique Technology Test Center is one of the centers where Nigerian nurses and midwives who wish to practice in the United Kingdom take a computer-based test to assess their clinical and numeric competence. The council, in a statement yesterday, said that the investigation showed that while the majority of individuals who sat their CBT at the Unique Center are considered to have joined the register fraudulently, there is evidence of widespread fraud at the center. Again, it's almost the same thing now, as the president is still trying to stop his academic report from Chicago. You can see that Nigeria is not getting it very good. And let me just go straight before I come back into the studio. Academic record has been delayed, article request, but Tinubu tells the US court that if you allow my record to come out, it might not be on a great terms. This headline says, there is now severe irreparable harm will be done to me. This is coming from President Bola Tinubu. If my Chicago University releases my record, Tinubu is now begging the United States senior judge.
Listen, as a Starr Radio UK, we'll bring you everything that you need to know. But it's quite an interesting one. We're looking at the nursing issue and the exam, the test center in Ibadan that we're talking about, that now concerns have been raised about it. The nurse who injected Mohbad now, as to whether she was part of those who graduated from there, as to whether even she's got the qualification. As a sister of mine will tell me all the time that there are some people in the nursing, she works in the NHS here, and say there are some people who come. It's not talking about those who come in from Africa, but other parts of the world, and you see blatantly that they don't know what they are up to. They don't. So as to whether the certificate that they have are authentic or not, whether they've undergone those training or they are there just to be observing things gradually and then get in there, we're not very, very sure. But The president says that, I went to Chicago University, whether I was a male or female, whether I've metamorphosed from trans, what do they call it?
The question is, you'll be wondering why he doesn't want the result to come out. I mean, if there's nothing hidden, even if you fail, we are not perfect individuals when we are at the university. Even if you have to retake some of your exams, we've seen people that have even dropped out, have gone back. We've seen people that were in their 70s, they've gone back to university. So the question Nigerians want to really know is, why is the President Bola Tinubu hiding his result for us? Atiku wants to expose that. Bola Tinubu is begging the US judge not to allow such to happen.
He's talking about irreparable, severe and irreparable harm will be done to him. I failed my exams. This is my certificate, or this is that I went to that particular university. What's wrong with that? I'm doing it, I'm making it now. So what is wrong with that? I don't get it, unless there is something very, 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 very fishy that is going on.
This is why Atiku wants to really get that record. President Bola Tinubu pleaded before the United States judge to save him from suffering severe and irreparable damage by placing an emergency hold on a recent order. There was another emergency hold about 9 p.m. local time, 2100 hours yesterday, as the university record to be released. It was meant to be released yesterday, but again, the lawyers, I don't know how much dollars they're spending with these lawyers. It seems that the lawyers are making good money, between the two candidates. But both of them have got the money anyway. Mr. Tinubu said the damage it will suffer will be impossible to mitigate if the September 6th order directing the release of his academic record to the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is not delayed for possible vacation. Severe, irreparable harm will be done to Bola Tinubu if the record are released. But Atiku disagreed. Mr. Abubakar application was granted on Tuesday, but as we speak right now, the Chicago State University officials have insisted that Mr. Tinubu attended the school, which has been confirmed, but they also couldn't authenticate the certificate under the oath. The university has no reason to hide a certificate, but the question is, have there been a kind of Oluwole certificate? Because we know that Oluwole was a location somewhere in Lagos where document was forged, and they were really, really forged, that most Nigerians used it, but it seems that Tinubu says, please, for damage purpose and harm, do not allow Atiku to get hold of this result. If Atiku get hold of the result, 200 million Nigerians would definitely know the outcome of that result. Will that result really tally with what Tinubu has been given to INEC, in the previous? That again will be a question that everybody will have to check. It's not about whether it was a male or female now. It's all about the authenticity. And again, it's not the first time many Nigerians are experiencing that. I experienced something similar when I came in. They couldn't confirm where the West African Examination Council Board was here in UK, and I was told that result cannot be really verified. And that is why when you're coming to study in UK, you will be told to do another English test. And if you now go back again to the Ibadan Test Center, you can see that we are not getting a very good from what is happening when it comes to our qualification. Africans are well read, we know that, but when it comes to malpractice, let's talk about the young girl that manipulated everyone and told us that she passed her JAM, only for us to realize that the JAM was never passed in the first place. This is part of what Nigerians are saying. Maybe Chicago should release that result, and maybe this will bring proper sanity to what we call examination results.
Well, interestingly, that lady, that girl, she used Tinubu's listen as a defense. That look, you cannot release my result. You cannot do anything about it. I mean, maybe she's not got money to go to the courts like Tinubu has got. But listeners, it is Star Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. If you are interested in what we are talking about, you want to have your take, post it on our Facebook page or YouTube channel or any of the platforms that we are broadcasting on. And I promise you one thing for sure, that we are going to be touching on it. I am Archie here in the South Studios and Mr. Olayomi Koiki in the North Studios, and we are bringing you updates from Nigeria. Now, I'm called Managing Director Ahmed Kuru okay, gave the advice. Okay, and what advice was that? That AMCON asked a RIC chairman to present 300 billion naira debt repayment plan. What was that money meant for? Why did they come, or how did they come by that debt, Yomi?
Let's first give you the background of what AMCON is. That will probably give us a bit of understanding to what we're going to be telling Nigerians and those that are listening to us in different part of the world. AMCON is the asset management that is the Asset Management and Corporation of Nigeria. That is the full meaning of AMCON. Many individuals have used their leverage to take out millions of naira out of the banks in Nigeria to build their businesses, but to return the money is a big problem. So AMCON job is to find those individuals as an organization and then bring them to book, so that whatever you are owing, if you cannot put the money back, then we will come after you. So AMCON was created for the purpose of efficiently resolving the non-performing loan, NPL, asset of banks in Nigeria for related matters by the virtue of AMCON Act 2010. By the National Assembly of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the corporation is empowered to dispose of managed assets for the purpose of fulfilling its functions and objectives. Now, the question then is, how many organizations, how many companies out there in Nigeria have literally used money from the woman selling pepper, from the normal layman that put their money in the bank and then they take the money out. Now, this particular one has got to do with Arik Air. Arik Air was traveling to not just London, it was going to different places, but it seems that their stakeholders have now blasted AMCON MD over the debt claim. It's not just Arik, there are so many stakeholders, but we will dialogue with AMCON before investigative authorities, the Arik shareholders, is saying this morning. Lagos shareholders of the Arik Air Limited have now dismissed a statement credited to the management director of the Asset Management Corporation of Nigeria, AMCON, Alhaji Ahmed Kuru, on the destruction of Arik by AMCON and his receiver. The shareholder in a statement, however, described Kuru's comment as desperate attempt to misinform Nigerians and also to distort the fact, adding that it was open to dialogue with AMCON. The question is, how do we retrieve billions of naira owed to Nigerians when organizations are not repaying back the banks? That is where AMCON comes in and try to find how they can take the money back. But again, as usual, it is not just Arik. There are so many organizations that have, AMCON is talking about almost 240 billion naira that they are trying to take back from Arik Air. Starr Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. I come back again to you in the studio, Mr. Archie.
Well, listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. As Yomi said, yes, it is the Friday edition of the morning show. 11:33 the time, and I am Archie.
And just to wrap that up, AMCON has been able to take at least about 70% of the bad debt from the information coming again on that particular story.
Okay, so they've been able to, get up to that amount from them, which is quite...
That is not mismanaged again.
It's quite an interesting one. We hope that the money is in an account sitting there, not like maybe when we say show us the money, say some snake is swallowed it. We need to get the magician to cause it to throw it up or vomit it. Well, listen, let's start Radio UK. Now let's talk about security issues, and then I will leave you to look at it. Now, the Army has reiterated the need for battle-focused training to combat security challenges, and this is pertaining to the commander of the South-South Operation Delta Safe, that is Abdul Salam, who is a land component commander. He's calling for a retraining of the military. That means that whatever training that they've got so far is not adequate enough to combat the insecurity in that country. So Nigerians should be very, very afraid, because if the training that is being given to the military is not adequate enough, then what should the poor man or the common person in Nigeria do or be? Yomi.
Again, when it comes to the insecurity in Nigeria, we know that we have new security chiefs, and the new president is trying to put everything in place, to make sure that Nigeria is well secure. But let me tell you what I picked up from the ABC News in America. This was 2 days ago. Severe security forces killed in an ambush by gunmen in Nigeria in Southeast. I've actually seen the videos of Nigerian military being killed in Imo State. We're talking about 4 of them. Their rifles and everything was scattered away. These actually took place. But again, gunmen opened fire and killed several members of a patrol security force in Southeast region. This was on Tuesday this week. The one you're talking about is the Nigerian army promised to track down killers of the same JTF team members in Imo State. Also, the question is, intelligent gathering is very, very important in every security situation. What is the new security chiefs going to do differently so that Nigerians will be able to give them the kind of information that they need? Because you need the population, you need the civilian. Remember that when we have the case of the young boy, or the young man rather, that was able to find his way out of the prison cell, it was the citizen that actually gave the information that was used to track him down, and is currently now being held back in the Belmarsh, maximum prison. But the question is, the Nigerian army has promised to track down the gunmen that allegedly ambushed and killed 5 of his personnel of the Joint Task Force. The question again is, were these Joint Task Force making a way to a location that is well familiar with? Because sometimes when you move security personnel from different part of Nigeria and you bring them into a particular area that they are not familiar with, you could end up having a very, very situation like this. Again, it's not the first time that Nigerian security have been ambushed. It's just that Nigerian security continue to get into this kind of situation as well. Once again, this is Star Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London.
Well, listeners, just bear with me. My camera is gone off, but it's going to come on in the next few moments. But Yomi,
this is Star Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. As we continue to give the update from Nigeria, as we say, we hope that in Nigerian security, we put the measures when it comes to protecting the innocent civilian as well.
Okay, listeners, it's Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. We go to Yomi for the rest of the stories making the rounds in Nigeria and on the social media. Over to you, Yomi.
Well, let's go back again, to some of the, other news coming out of Nigeria for now. Once again, my name is Olayomi Koiki, and as we continue to give you some of those headlines as we have it right now. Again, the Central Bank of Nigeria have literally now postponed the September MPC. What does that mean? We know that this new administration is trying to be different from the old guard. The Central Bank of Nigeria yesterday have now announced the indefinite postponement of the September edition of its bi-monthly Monetary Policy Committee (MPC) meeting. According to the spokesperson, Issa Abdulmumini announced the postponement in Abuja in a statement yesterday. The meeting was earlier scheduled to be held on the 25th and the 26th, but the MPC of the CBN has deferred it now to the 293rd meeting scheduled for Monday and Tuesday. A new date will be communicated in due course. Remember that when Emefiele was there with the previous administration, we couldn't get as much information when it comes to the auditing of the central bank from 2015 up to Buhari left, last, May. This May when the new government changed. But again, with the new CBN governor in place, Nigeria will be expecting, how do we bring down the foreign exchange? For the first time, the dollar is now 1,000 naira to $1. And again, remember that this new CBN governor rise to Nigerian challenges. What are the challenges? The Nigerian president has nominated Olayomi Michael Cardoso to be the next governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria as he continues his attempt to reform the Africa's largest economy. But the appointment comes at a time when Nigeria is grappling with what we call the macroeconomy, difficult on front line, according to economic intelligence Teniola Tayo. Led by the Office for the Strategic Preparedness and Resilience in Abuja, spoke at the African business that the due list for the new central bank is to definitely long and fill with tough tasks, including fixing the relationship between interest rate and inflation. We know that inflation in Nigeria has gone over the roof, just as the governor of England here yesterday, the Bank of England was telling us inflation will still be remaining the same. But again, many Nigerians are worried, they are concerned. The cost of food have risen, and the reason for that again is the subsidy has been removed. But there's another news coming out that subsidy was paid out. I would like to still confirm that that is in news, because if we are told that subsidy has been removed, but we are now getting information that subsidy has was paid again, the question is, what is actually going on? But again, as usual, the vice president is still telling Nigerians that God actually ordained Bola Tinubu presidency. Many Nigerians, many Africans, we believe too much in God. Whether that is right or wrong is individual views on that. But let's go straight into that headline. According to the Vice President, Kashima Shettima, said that God actually ordained Tinubu presidency, though some politicians can be better than them. According to him, we do not occupy our positions because of our physical prowess, or certainly not because of our pedigree. There are people of superior pedigree than us, stated by the Vice President. It is a gift from God and a call to serve humanity for a very short span of time. So that is part of what the self-determinations are saying, that Tinubu is only going to be there for a very, very short period of time. The maximum is 8 years. That is even if he doesn't lose the election at the second tenure, because we know that this first time Supreme Court will have to wait. But if everything goes in accordance, by 2027, this same government will be coming out again to tell Nigerians to vote for them. If he gets the second vote, that means Tinubu will be able to fix Nigeria just for 8 years, and the next government will have to come up again. And this is something that the Yoruba people have been saying, those that are campaigning for self-determination, says that as much as there's nothing wrong for Bola Tinubu to be the president, Tinubu will only be there for 8 years maximum. I don't think he would like to do the same thing that the Kenya president is trying to do now, to run for the third term. So we will have to wait and see. But the vice president stated this when he actually hosted the University of Ibadan postgraduate school alumni, according to a statement by his media, Stanley Inwokocha. The delegation also include members of the 1989 to 1990 set of the National Youth Service Corps, with whom he served in Calabar. Many Nigerians would like to know the same thing with the president, those he actually went to school with, from primary, secondary, up to university. But again, it seems that that is not happening anytime soon. Let's take you back to one more headline, then I'm going to go straight to what is happening on the social media as we continue to monitor the cultism in Ogun State. We talked about it yesterday. We hope the new system that is going to be put in place will be able to curtail some of those atrocities, because we're going again into the weekend. We do not want to come back on Monday and be giving news that many innocent youth were killed over the weekend. Last weekend was a bloody weekend in Shagamu. 24 innocent Yorubas, Nigerians, were murdered in cold blood. I've seen those images. They are very gruesome. 3 of them are secondary school. We are praying again that the authority should do everything possibly best to keep security across the country. As we now go straight to the social media, there's been a lot, and the focus, as much as it's going into the death of Mohbad, the question is, how many more injustice is taking place in Nigeria? There's injustice when it comes to not having a good education. There's injustice when you don't have a good health care. There's injustice when your well-being is not being taken care of by the government. There's injustice when you are being marginalized. There's injustice when there is not freedom of speech. But many Nigerians today are now talking about the injustice on Mohbad. Let's talk about Morakinyo. At Morakinyo_Akin, I keep saying Nigerian youth will continue to die from the Nigerian police bullet until they confront these terrorists in uniform and get their freedom once. You ain't ready? But again, this is coming from DJ Switch. Remember that she was part of those campaigning towards the NSAS. She was one of the DJ on the ground. She was the one that made the recording on her IG. But again, her life was under threat. She has now fled Nigeria in a safe haven. She actually said again yesterday, was just sent a clips from the Lekki, and this is already giving me the PTSD. Let me say this, many Nigerians do not understand what is the PTSD. PTSD is when you go through trauma. Many Nigerians have gone through trauma in the past, and in 2020, that trauma is what we call the post-traumatic stress disorder. But in Nigeria, they say that everything goes. Many Nigerians still disagree with her, and I'm sure when you look at the comment under that particular post, some will say that maybe PTSD is a witchcraft from a village. Some Didiri already have their press release to defend this evil experimental called Nigeria. My heart goes out to those hot at Lekki. Dear Nigerian failed state, one day you will put this stunt, and instead of the crowd running away from you, they will run towards you, and that day will be the start of the revolution you are so desperately trying to curb. So you can see that DJ Switch has put out a message, and that message have now been viewed 472,000 times, and it has also been retweeted 1,465. And it seems that many people love that because it has actually gained 4,375. And the other headline on the social media is Ikorodu is trending. We know that Mohbad is from that particular region in Ikorodu, but also Chicago University. I'm sure the Chicago will be thinking, how did we get to this situation? Because when it comes to situation in Nigeria, they've been bombarding the authorities of the Chicago, but we'll have to wait for whatever is going to happen. Also, Nelson Wike is trending, and one particular name that has come up continuously, two names rather, Naira Marley and Sam Larry. There's a young man that came out and said, I might look like Sam Larry, but please, I have now to go out with my identification because I am not Sam Larry that you are looking for. But what we are being told right now, Sam Larry is currently in Kenya, but we hope that as the Nigerian authority have now invited them, both Naira Marley and Sam Larry, for invitation. If that invitation is not there too, now they will be declared wanted. But for now, they are only being asked to come and speak to them. Starr Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. As we say, Tani Olong is still being held after months for his speech that he was kidnapped from Ibadan. It seems that every 3 weeks or thereabout, we have something trending in Nigeria. Currently, Mohbad is trending. How soon this trend will continue, we don't know yet. But what we can say is, may Nigeria not happen to us. I return back again to you in the studio.
Well, listeners, I tell you can't get this anywhere apart from Starr Radio UK, and that is what we're doing exactly from Mr. Olayomi Koiki in North London studios. I'm actually here in the South studios. Now, those of you who don't know PTSD, yes, post-traumatic stress disorder. So that lady remembered what she went through during that Lekki toll gate massacre thing that took place. Yeah, so it's not witchcraft. That's why Yomi was telling you. No, it is the atrocity that was unleashed on them by the military or the security agencies. They said they didn't do that. But Yomi, Sam Larry and Naira Marley, why are they being wanted, being invited by the police? Why?
Mohbad was signed by Naira Marley as under the labor record until they have problems between each other and that actually fall apart. But the videos and evidence that is out in the public domain says that he was bullied by the same labor record that he was working with until he decided to set up his own labor record. And since these videos and evidence out there has been pointed to Naira Marley, there's no evidence that Naira Marley killed presently right now, but the information out there in the public domain is because of the amount of videos that is circulated. And the question some of us are asking is, why allow those videos to be kept in archives when they should have been out in the public domain? Authorities would have looked into it. At some point we were told that Mohbad also put a petition against Sam Larry. I've seen a particular video where there was another artist and they were having a video shoot, and the man called Sam Larry was telling the other artist to move away so that they can deal with Mohbad. There's also a lot of evidence of body injuries on his body. So it seems that for now we don't have any evidence to point that they actually have hands in the killings of Mohbad. But because again there was a bit of bullying that took place, I think that's the reason why the authority. But again, if there's going to be any charges, they will have to also defend themselves. But right now, there is nothing to suggest that they have hands in the killing of the young man.
Okay, listeners, quite interesting. We'll be following the story very, very closely, and we'll be bringing you everything that we hear. And when you also hear something, why not? Let us know as well, and we will be sharing it with our worldwide listeners. But accountability. Well, Shatima says that, you know what? We are ordained by God. And again, that is what is troubling Africa. We always say that the leader has been ordained by God, the priest has been ordained by God, the imam has been ordained by God, and therefore, even when they are doing something wrong, we don't have to say it because they have been ordained by God. They said, touch not my anointed, and that is what seems to be going on. And so our leaders come in with all the promises and everything that they want to do, and they finish and they are going to say somewhere, like Buhari is saying somewhere, and saying that, look, I know that I made some mistakes then. But who is holding him accountable? Nobody. They will come and do whatever. But I believe that one day we'll get to a place where maybe leaders who are coming in know that they are accountable to the citizens, and therefore, whatever they are doing, they'll be watching it and doing it very, very well. Yomi, before we go.
Well, again, you're quite right. I actually saw the former governor of Anambra State yesterday. He was somewhere in the US, I don't know which of the state, walking his dog. You could tell that he wouldn't have done such in a state that he governed for 8 years. But this is what a politician does better, and throwing the tartan into the face of the Nigerians out there. But again, I'll be back on Monday where we will give you all the events over the weekend. But again, remember to stay tuned with the Starr Radio UK throughout the weekend, where there will be so much activities. But Archie will take over before the money man, Mr. Danta, will be joining us as well, because we need to know how to manage that little resources that is coming through. Starr Radio UK, the finest African and Caribbean radio station in London. Have a very good morning. Bye for now.
Bye-bye. Well, listen, that has been Mr. Olayomi Koiki bringing you updates from Nigeria. It's been quite an interesting morning, and I hope that you did enjoy that. But if you have any comments, feel free, put them on our Facebook page, YouTube channel, or the Twitter, and I promise you one thing for sure, I'm gonna read that. Okay? Now, I promised you that I was going to bring you that music. Yes? Hold on, I'm going to bring that music to you in a moment, but let's take this short commercial or social announcement, and then we will bring you that music.
Like a river,
the family and Christian community, friends and loved ones of Apostle Mark Nyakon and Mrs. Victoria Nyakon wishes to invite friends, sympathizers and loved ones to the one-week observation at Newman Christian Center, 87 Beddington Lane, Croydon, CR04TD. The event will be taking place on Friday, the 6th of October, 2023, from 6 to 9 p.m. Bus routes 466, 463, Tramlink, Beddington Lane, And then there is free parking on the scene at the scene as well. So wherever you do, make your way there. For further information, please contact Evelyn 075-5463-8421 or Kojo 073-7592-8737 or Sheila 079-8359-1818. See you there. Yes, welcome back to the program Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. 5 minutes to the top of the hour at a time, and I hope that you are all doing well and enjoying the program wherever and whatever you might be doing. But now, let us just crack on straight and let me bring you that tune that I was bringing your way. It is Friday. The week has gone by. Yeah, so soon. And you are well, you are alive. What has happened to Mobile? Has not happened to you. You are still there. Somewhere you went through some weird stuff, but you are still alive. Yeah, Mobile might not have done anything wrong. I mean, no. But somewhere, somehow, it's not counted among the living. But you are counted among the living. So it is all the goodness of God. Abi, enjoy this, and I'll be with you. Stay tuned.
For your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hand. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. All my life you have been faithful, and all my life you have been so good. Yes, every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. You know I love your voice. Close like no other. You know I've known you as a father. You know I've known you as a friend. And I have believed in the goodness of God. Oh, yeah.
24/7.
This is Starr Radio UK.
Well, I will sing of the goodness of God by Christopher Martin in a reggae version. Why not? Oh my, oh my, oh my. Well, reggae is good, right? Especially in the morning. The yes, that makes it very, very good. It is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London, bringing the time now to exactement 12 o'clock. Well, so let me announce the lines open for you to join in if you want to do so. Call us on 0208-133-2257 or 58 02081 332257 or 58. US or Canada is 0017183032737 0017183032737. You can text or WhatsApp at 0753966144 0753966144. Twitter handle is Starr Radio UK and email address is info@starradiouk.com. So whatever you do, don't miss out. Let me hear from you. Post your comments on our Facebook page or YouTube channel, and I promise you I'm going to be looking at that. Yes. So your goodness is running after. But I'm going to be looking at some of the other stories making the rounds in other parts of the world as well. But starting from the African continent, or continuing from the African continent still, let us now go straight there and let me tell you what is happening. Exactly at 12:30, we'll be taking you to Kent, where our money man is, and we're going to be looking at some of the issues making the rounds, or how to make some money in your pockets wherever you might be, or how to actually protect the money, the letter that you have in your pocket as well. So whatever it is, money, money, money. Now, interestingly, Mali's ruling junta has cancelled the festivities planned to mark the anniversary of the independence and is considering mobilizing reservists in the face of rising tensions in the north of the country. In a speech to the nation on Thursday, the head of the junta, Assimi Goita, assured the nation that the defense and security forces will once again be deployed throughout the country. He added, after 10 years of the presence of foreign forces on our soil, we understood that the logic was rather to maintain insecurity and keep us dependent. Dependent on what? On them. This is the fundamental reason why the Malian people have decided to take their security into their own hands. Now, the Malian military are counting on Russia's help to re-establish their sovereignty, even though vast stretches of land remain outside their control. Now, interestingly, Russia that they want to depend on are also facing their own problems. Now, Assimi Goita took advantage of his speech to express his gratitude to Russia. He said, I would like on this occasion to salute Mali's sincere partner or partners, in particular the Russian Federation, whose efforts and support have been extremely useful to us in preserving our sovereignty in a national, regional, and international context marked by multifaceted tensions against a backdrop of divergent views. Now, Tuareg-dominated groups resumed operation against the Malian army in the north in September after months of tensions with the government. They had signed a peace agreement with the central government in 2015 that was supposed to put an end to the hostilities sparked by the independence and Salafist insurrection of 2012. Now, interestingly, we are now having lots of people or lots of communities, not only in African continent or on the African continent, but other parts of the world, who feel they have been marginalized and who think that, look, whoever put them together, it is about time that they are given the chance to decide whether we want to have control our own destiny. But that's not the case. No one is being given a chance. So we have the military leaders or the governments in various places clamping down on any insurrections or people who are trying to say that we want to break away. So, what do you think? Should they be given a chance? A referendum, of course. You ask them and they tell you that, you know what? Yeah, we want to vote and let the indigents vote in that case. So, like what happened in Scotland, we allow the Scottish to vote as to whether they wanted to be part of the UK or they want to have their independence, be their own masters. I know that most campaigners were from other parts of the UK, especially in England, who went there to say that, no, don't do that. We are better together. In unity there is strength, rather than going solo. Okay, so whatever happened there, we knew. But at least they were given an opportunity to see whether majority of them are saying that, let's leave. But in this crisis where people are not being allowed, you are being shot, whatever is being done to you is being done, and then they decide that if you're not going to be listening to us, then we're going to be using, brute force to also make our voices heard. And that's what is happening in the Southeast with the IPOP. Because they reckon that, look, we want out. We think we are being marginalized. We think that when our voices are loud, you people don't want to listen to us, and you come clamping down. We had Abacha killing one of them because he was talking about the fact that, look, people's farms were being destroyed and all those things, and talking about and then he was killed, and then a few incidents here and there. But the question here now is, should everybody who think that they are being marginalized, who think that whatever they are not being treated fairly, and therefore they think that, look, we think we'll be better off by on our own, be allowed or given the chance to maybe, let's see whether majority of them agree, because we have President Tinubu who is coming from the Southwest, right? Okay, but we have the Southwest, who are some people in the Southwest who are saying we want out of Nigeria, because we think that we are not going to have the full potential of our lives that we have. So the question is, should leaders now try to allow, instead of war, give them the chance to have a referendum? If they fail, you tell them that, well, it's in a lifetime. Well, somebody say, well, the UK said it's a once in a lifetime referendum for the Scottish, and then after that they came back to say, no, we want to go again. So if where democracy is being practiced properly, if people are calling for that, then what do you think? But what? Still on the African continent. Now, Guinea's leader defends coup in Africa and rebuffs the West, saying things must change. So he went to the UN as well. The recent coups in Africa are attempts by militaries to save their countries from presidents' broken promises, the head of the Guinea junta said on Thursday as he rebuffed the West for boxing in the continent of more than 1 billion people. Now, Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya, who was sworn in as Guinea's interim president following the coup in 2021, told the UN General Assembly that beyond condemning the coups, global leaders must also look to and address the deep-rooted causes. The Putin is not only the person who takes up arms to overthrow a regime. He told a gathering of the world's leaders in New York, I want us all to be well aware of the fact that the real pushes is the most numerous are those who avoid any condemnation. They are those who cheat to manipulate the text of the Constitution in order to stay in power eternally. Now, Guinea is one of several nations in West Africa, Central Africa, that have experienced 8 coups since 2020, including 2, Niger and Gabon, in recent months. The military takeover, sometimes celebrated by citizens in those countries and condemned by international organizations, foreign countries have raised concerns about the stability of the continent, whose young population of at least 1.3 billion is set to double by 2050 and make up a quarter of the planet's people. Now, Doumbouya accused some leaders in Africa of clinging to power by any means, often including amending the constitution to the detriment of their people. Now, in Guinea, he said he led soldiers to depose the then president Alpha Conde in September 2021 coup to prevent the country from slipping into complete chaos. He said the situation was similar in other countries hit by coups. and was as a result of broken promises, the lethargy of people and leaders tampering with constitutions with the sole concern of remaining in power to the detriment of collective well-being. So, if that is what is happening, let me just hop straight to Ghana. The Electoral Commission in Ghana had a court placing an injunction on them for the limited registration that they are undertaking at the moment. However, they are going on. So, where are the custodians of the law? Where are the police force? Now, in another development, a couple of people or a handful of people went on demonstration at the presidency or the president's seat. Now, when they gave the police the foreknowledge that that's what's going to happen, the police filed an injunction against them. Though these individuals were yet to have received that and embarked on the demonstration, we had the police coming against them with brute force and arresting about 40 plus of them. Now, so the question is, are we in a democratic dispensation or the rule of law where when the court speaks, we all have to adhere to it, or the court speaks and some people have to adhere to it and others who think that they are a law to themselves have to just go on doing whatever things that they are doing, as in the case in Nigeria where we have the DSS, the court rules this way, the DSS decide to do whatever they want to do. It's quite an interesting one. Where is our democracy going? The Strad boss is saying, the Strad boss. Now, Joseph Whittle, Commissioner of the Commission for Human Rights and Administrative Justice, has blamed the Supreme Court for making the Electoral Commission appear to be untouchable. At a program held earlier this week, Whittle noted that some judgment of the Apex Court has made the EC feel overly emboldened to write its rules as it fits, going as far as challenging Parliament in some instances. Now, why should an institution be given so much power, aided by the Supreme Court? Because the interpretation the Supreme Court has given in a number of election matters have come before them, practically making the EC untouchable, so that they can even have the temerity to go before Parliament and say, Parliament cannot determine what we do. So, if Parliament cannot determine what they do, that means they are a law to themselves. In this place, Parliament can decide if there is any issue. There is an issue going on pertaining to a presenter. Parliament will call them. You are not above the law. However, in Ghana, it's a different ball game. He goes on further to say, where is our democracy going? He asks rhetorically. Now, so if you see such a set or an issue going on, and then you have some people rising up saying that, look, the people feel they are not being listened to, that those who are in power are entrenching themselves there to actually sit on the necks of the people, stamp on the necks of the people, as it did happen, have their knees on the necks of the people, and when the people are saying we can't breathe, they are still pressing on it. So what do you think is happening? Should there be a military takeover? What do you think will happen? Well, it's all coming away from Starr Radio UK. So if some people decide to embark on a demonstration, why should the police clamp down on them as if they were destroying things there? After all, like the Lekki toll gate issue, they are there, what? they didn't have stake, they didn't have anything, they weren't beating or destroying anything there. So why should the police meet them with brute force? And why are the police not going after the EC to say that, hey, the courts have said that there is an injunction on you, so you cannot go on with the limited registration? Well. Listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. Let me bring you one other story from the African front, and then we can move on to other parts of the world. The former President John Mahama has said Africa will be engaging in this service to Africa when stories are centered on colonialization. Now, speaking at the Humanity Summit in 2023 in Faro, Portugal, Mr. Mahama stated that it is common knowledge that a divide and conquer strategy was executed within the individual colonized territories. But we don't often consider that the same international or consequential strategy was set in motion on the continent as a whole. There are various colonial powers in many places and at different times, drawing artificial borders that had no consideration for any of the pre-existing social structures or alliances. Now, take Ghana and Togo, for example. They have in common several ethnic groups because the border splits the traditional terrain of those people between the two countries. And depending on which side of the divide they were on, those groups' language, cultures, and customs were shaped in drastically different ways, Mr. Mahama stated. He continued, the Germans and the French colonized Togo. Ghana was colonized by the British. The Portuguese, enterprising navigators and explorers, were the first Europeans in the region and exerted tremendous influence. The point I am making is that we Africans, except Ethiopia and Liberia, have been under the consistent authority of Europeans who were not of our land for several centuries. And yet, we do Africa a tremendous disservice to center our stories around colonization, to ignore or dismiss the sophistication of its pre-colonial empires and the success of their trade and commerce. So when there is war, when there is unrest, as the Malian leader said, who do you think is fomenting that? Well, as there is unrest, that is a divide and rule method, then you need them. You have to depend on them. And that's what I say when I have those in the clergy going on, and some that's making members dependent on them. They don't want to empower you so you can stand on your own 2 feet. That you know that when you pray, something can happen. But they just do it said that you have to come to me until I pray for you. You are doomed. That's what our politicians have done, and that is what our leaders are doing. But listeners, it is Starr Radio UK. It is your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let me take a break, and then we are coming to this part of the world. At other parts of the world, let me put it that way. We'll continue from there. Stay tuned. Don't you go away. I hope you still love me. Yes, truth hurts, but at times we have to say it, right? No, not at times. We have to say it.
Hi guys, this is your friend Uruj from SendWave. SendWave is a money transfer app that is used by people all over the world to send money to their loved ones in Africa. With SendWave, you can send money to Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And the best part is, SendWave is absolutely commission free. Our exchange rates are excellent. You can see for yourself by checking them out on our website. So how do you use SendWave? SendWave is an app that you can download onto your phone from the App Store or Google Play Store. The app is free to download. After downloading it, just open the app and enter your name, email, and phone number. That's it. You're good to go. Make sure you use the promo code SR. S for Starr, R for Radio. This promo code will give you £5 free credit to send to Africa on your first transaction. Your money will be delivered to your recipient within seconds. Feel free to call me on 0749 7377 647 at any time. I'll be happy to tell you all about SendWave and help you in any way I can. Remember to use the promo code SR for £5 free credit. Medasse.
Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancer taking over. Everywhere you go, Afrobeat reggae dancer taking over. Yo, what's up, people? This is a boy Raskin Bobo One. Tune in every day, every night at the Star Radio UK with the big man them Archie. When I say Orta, you say fire.
Welcome back to the program Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London on a Friday edition of the morning show. 19 minutes past 12 the time. So we've got about another 11 minutes to take you to Kent where our money man is. And he's going to be telling you more about some offers that are there for those who want to own properties. Okay, so don't you go away at all. I'm going to be bringing you that. All right, so let's crack on. Now, when it comes to other part of the African, my apologies, continent, deadly mortar attack on historic city of Timbuktu. The culturally significant city has been under siege, reportedly causing shortages of basic items. Well, Timbuktu. You remember that? Yes. Okay. Now, Ukraine gets more U.S. aid as Zelensky urges allies to keep up support. And are we suffering from fatigue when it comes to the Ukrainian war? It looks like it's got into 2 years. Yes, come February. It's February 24. Then it will be 2 years. Now, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky is in Canada on an unannounced visit, his first day since Russia's invasion of Ukraine began. On Thursday, he was in the U.S. where he met President Joe Biden, who approved $325 million in federal funding for Kyiv. But the new tranche of U.S. aid doesn't include the long-range missiles that President Zelensky has been requesting for, and a larger $24 billion package with the White House wants to authorize is being held up, with some Republicans urging or arguing that money should be spent on domestic issues. Zelensky's visit follows speeches at the UN in New York earlier this week, in which he urged countries to unite against Russian aggression. Diplomatic tensions are on the rise elsewhere after Zelensky criticized Poland, Slovakia, and Hungary for banning imports of Ukrainian grain. Poland says it will no longer send weapons and ammunition to Ukraine, although it will continue with previous agreed deliveries. That's quite a tough one there, and that's why I say, has fatigue set in? Has fatigue set in at all? Alright, so listeners, Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Let me bring you this story and then we'll move on to the UK. Now, New York police finds drugs in trapdoor at fentanyl nursery. The police have found a large quantity of fentanyl, other drugs, and paraphernalia hidden under a trapdoor at a New York City nursery where a boy died from exposure to the opioid. Now, photos from New York police shows bags filled with brown and white powder. Police said the volume of drugs could have killed 500,000 people. The nursery owner and her tenants are facing federal charges. Authorities are still searching for her husband, who was caught on camera fleeing the scene. 1 year old died of a suspected drug overdose at the daycare last Friday. Nicholas Dominici had been at the Divino Nino nursery for just a week. Fentanyl had been hidden in the nap room under a mat as he slept, police said. Now, 3 other children were admitted to hospital after being exposed to the powerful narcotic at the center in the Bronx. An analysis of urine from one of the victims confirmed the presence of the drug. My goodness, it was my child. Boy, oh boy. So what? Not that it was just there and the child was just sleeping and the fume that the child inhaled killed him. And 3 others now hospitalized. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Star Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Now let's touch on a couple of stories and then we will bring the program, the first part of the program to a close, take you to Kent where our money man is. So a quick one from there. Now, sexual harassment, women medics in NHS pressured into sex. That's quite an interesting one. Senior doctors say female medics have felt pressured into sexual activity with colleagues. Now, 4 women who head up medical royal colleges in Wales have written an open letter describing misogyny, bullying, and sexual harassment in the workplace. They were told the female staff had been asked for sex by male colleagues while on shift. The Welsh government said harassment and sexual violence is abhorrent and has no place in the NHS. Now, chairwoman of the Royal College of Psychiatrists in Wales, Dr. Maria Atkins, said, "I've heard from multiple women over the years that during nighttime shifts they have been propositioned by male colleagues and felt pressured to engage in sexual acts. Boy, oh boy, when they refuse, they are penalized. It can be very damaging to some less experienced or younger women because they will be discouraged from engaging with a team which might have been the specialty of medicine that they wanted to progress their career in." The open letter makes it clear that these issues are not confined to surgery or anesthetics, but are a commonplace. As a junior doctor or medical student, professionally, it is dangerous to raise concerns, said Dr. Rowena Christmas, chairman of the body representing GPs in Wales. She said the power imbalance in making complaints about those who can influence your career played a huge part. Boy, oh boy. Starr Radio UK, your favorite African and Caribbean radio station in London. Well, you want tax cuts? Well, the Chancellor of the Exchequer says, no way, Mose. Well, virtually impossible at present. The Chancellor Jeremy Hunt has said it will be virtually impossible to deliver tax cuts until the UK economy improves. A less gloomy economic outlook and the high cost of living have led to calls for the measures to reduce taxes in autumn statement in November. Now, speaking this morning on LBC, Mr. Hunt said the country's high level of debts left him with some very difficult decisions. The UK national debt, the amount borrowed to fund spending, is at levels not seen since the early 1960s. The larger national debt gets, the more interest the government has to pay, and rising interest rates have made this cost higher. So there is no chance on earth that you guys are going to be getting any tax cuts soon. To be back or way sometime ahead of us. But listeners, this is where I bring the first part of the program to go. Let's take a quick social announcement, and then I will bring you the money man, Mr. Dan Tabiri. Stay tuned, don't go away. Christian community, friends and loved ones of Apostle Mark Nyako and Mrs. Victoria Nyako wishes to invite friends, sympathizers and loved ones to the 1 week observation at Newman Christian Center, 87 Beddington Lane, Croydon, CR04TDD. The event will be taking place on Friday, the 6th of October, 2023, from 6 to 9 p.m. Bus routes 466, 463, when Tramlink, Beddington Lane, and then there is free parking on the scene as well. So wherever you do, make your way there. For further information, please contact Evelyn 075-5463-8421 or Kojo 073-7592-8737 or Shula 079-8359-1818. See you there. There for you. But now it is time for us to go to Kent, where our money man, Mr. Dan Tabiri, CEO of GIL Accountancy Services, is. And let me take this opportunity to say good afternoon to you, Mr. Tabiri.
Good afternoon to you, Archie. It's a pleasure to come your way again this afternoon.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. How are you doing, and how is the family?
I am doing great, and family is well. Looking forward to summer holidays.
Commencing today. Interesting one. Okay.
And how are you doing?
Yeah. We're also doing very, very well here. We're just waiting patiently because we know summer holidays, we need a money man to put some money in our pockets, because we know times have been difficult for people, and that is the only way that people get money into their pockets. So let's come to the topic that we are looking at today: marriage allowance. Now, people will think, oh, you know what? I've been married. What is this man talking about? Allowance for getting married? Yeah. Mr. Tabiri has got it. What is marriage allowance, and is it something that is being practiced here? Is there a law pertaining to that here, Mr. Tabiri?
Right. So this is a topic that we keep revisiting now again, but it's important that we continue to do so, because a lot of people are missing out, and when people's circumstances change, they fall into the eligibility criteria for marriage allowance without them knowing that they qualify for this tax-free money. And therefore, it's important that we keep, revisiting this topic so that people can lay hold of what is due them. Yeah. So, marriage allowance, what it basically does is that the allowance that is given to married couples or people in civil partnership allows you to transfer £1,260 of your personal allowance to your husband or your wife or your civil partner. So in any tax year, this reduces their tax by up to about £252 in any tax year. That is really tax-free money, which people are entitled to. So to benefit as a couple, you normally have an income. One of the couple would have to have an income below the personal allowance, or what we call the personal allowance, the lower tax threshold, which is £12,570. And then they transfer £1,260 of their allowance to the partner. And so together as a family, you are then saving, effectively saving cash of £252 on your taxes together as a household.
Okay, well, listeners, that is for your information. It's quite an interesting there. In these times where things are that difficult, that we are counting the pennies, people are counting the pennies, and as Tesco also says in its slogan, every little helps. This is the time, but this is a big chunk of money, 1,260. My goodness. So what do you think about all that? It is all coming your way. Marriage allowance on Starr Radio UK, the Money Hour with our money man, Mr. Dan Tabiri. Okay, so who qualifies for that? You say marriage. Which kind of marriage are we talking about there?
Yeah, so as the name suggests, marriage allowance is for people who are married. So married, in this case, you say married by ordinance or in a civil partnership. That is the first criteria. The second criteria is that one of the partners earns below the tax threshold, i.e. £12,570 in a year. Typically, people in a family where, for example, one of them is the one staying at home to maybe look after the ones from school, and therefore they might be working but maybe doing a part-time job, or maybe a stay-at-home parent, then they don't have any income. In that case, the other partner can take on their personal allowance of 1,260 and be able to claim this allowance. So that is what this is really about, to support families where there are young children, or perhaps one of the partners for one reason or another has to do a part-time job, and therefore maybe their income is lower than the tax threshold. It allows this to be passed on for overall tax savings in the family. One thing to be aware of is that you cannot claim marriage allowance if you are living together but you are not married or in a civil partnership.
Cohabitation, that was what I was going to ask.
The fact that you are living together will not qualify you for marriage allowance. You either have to be married or be in a civil partnership.
Okay, so
also,
go on, sir.
Let me add that it will not affect your application for marriage allowance if you or your partner are currently receiving pension, or even if you live abroad, as long as you are entitled to a personal allowance in the UK, marriage allowance can be transferred.
Okay. Now, listeners, that's quite a good one there for you, and isn't it right? Now, Mr. Tabiri, now let me ask you. Now, so how does the money come into the person? Let's say the one who is earning below the lower tax threshold. Now, so would the person see 1,260 transferred into their account, a payment gone into their account, or how does it work?
Right. Okay. So that's a very good question. So the way it works is HMRC, once you make the application to apply for marriage allowance, and is approved by HMRC, what they would do is that they would amend the tax code for both of you. So your partner who is receiving the allowance would see a higher tax code allocated to them, and which means that they will not be taxed on this £1,250 of their wages.
Okay.
And that is how the money would be received.
Okay.
The other partner would also see a change in their tax code, but that should not affect their tax calculation, or it should not reduce the net income that they are taking, because they would not be already paying any tax at all. So it will not affect them by way of their take-home pay, either by reducing the national insurance or the tax. That will not be affected at all. And the most important thing is that also this allowance can be backdated for 4 years. So where you have made the allowance this year, you have made the application for the allowance this year, and if you qualified for the last 4 years, basically HMRC cannot change your tax code to give you that allowance, and so you would receive a check through the post, £252 times 8, which is just a little over £1,000 check coming through your door. If you qualify for the allowance over the last 4 years, it will be backdated automatically and sent out to you.
Okay. Now, interestingly, another question there is now, you said backdated for 4 years now. So, assuming, because we have some of our listeners who also have maybe just come into the country or have been in the country for a while, so let's call it a year, but they've been married for a long time. When does it start? Is it when you enter into the country, the UK, and then the UK recognizes that, okay, now this person is here, was married 8 years or 10 years ago in Nigeria or wherever, and they've moved in here. So it's when you've entered this country that you can enjoy that particular benefit from that?
Yes, I would say yes. As you said initially, to qualify for the allowance, you would need to be entitled to a personal allowance. And so you need to be a UK taxpayer, you need to be recognized as a resident in the UK to be able to qualify for a personal allowance. And so if for the past period you were not qualified as a UK taxpayer or as a UK resident person, then you would not qualify for those periods.
Okay. Well, listen to Starr Radio UK. Education. For lack of knowledge, some people say that, but I would say application of knowledge. For lack of application of knowledge, people suffer. So, what do you think? Yes. Okay, we'll go back to Mr. Dan Tabiri for more from that one. Now, how do people do it? How do they work it out? How do they apply for it?
Okay, so one thing to mention is that the personal allowance will once you make the application, the personal allowance will transfer automatically to your partner every year until you cancel the allowance.
Okay.
So the allowance will carry on, will be passed on. You see your tax code every year change until you cancel the allowance. To make the application, you'd have to go online. And you'd have to go through, if you haven't got it already, you need to set up a government gateway account. And when you go to the government gateway account, there will be a link for you to be able to apply for marriage allowance. Certainly, it should be quite a simple and a straightforward process where they ask you details about your work, your income, your marriage situation, whether you are married or in a civil partnership. Take your basic details, NI, address, national insurance number, etc., and your contact details. And HMRC will write back to you to say, let you know your entitlement and how they're going to make sure that you receive the benefit of this allowance going forward. So it should be a simple application. However, if you get stuck, then by all means you need to speak to a professional person to help you make this application.
Okay. Now, interestingly, another question that has come through. Somebody is asking the question: if I am married traditionally, does that apply to me as well?
So it doesn't, because traditional marriage in this country is not recognized in the law court. If you have a traditional marriage, but you have come into this country and you have registered your marriage, then it will be qualified, as marriage under ordinance, and therefore you would qualify for this allowance.
Okay, so if you are even traditionally married, you have to register it for it to get into the system, then you qualify for that. Okay, listeners, Starr Radio UK. We'll go back to Mr. Tabiri for any other thoughts there for us, and then we'll end the conversation that we are having this morning. Over to you, Mr. Tabiri.
Yes, so it's a simple application to make for the allowance. Simply go online, search for marriage allowance online, you'd find a link, and then, like I said, you need your government gateway account set up, which is a user ID or a number to identify you, and then they will allow you to set up your own password to access your government gateway account, and that's all that will be required to get the allowance underway. It should be a fairly simple process, but as always, if you get stuck, then by all means speak to a professional person, an accountant who would help you. So important to also remember that circumstances change. Once you've made the application, and automatically the marriage allowance has been transferred to the partner who is on a higher income, circumstances change in the future, you have to always remember to report the change in the circumstance, especially if it affects your entitlement to claim marriage allowance. So some of these changes might be that, for example, there's a divorce, or there's a breakdown, or a legal separation of the marriage or civil partnership, then you no longer become eligible, and therefore you have to call HMRC and end the allowance.
The question is, how soon should somebody do that? How soon, when there are changes in the person's
I'll say as soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
What happens is that if you are within a tax year, so for example, now we're in the tax year 2023-2024. So if I make a claim for marriage allowance during this year, and unfortunately my marriage breaks down, or let's say I lose a partner, then I do not become eligible. So what will happen is that your entitlement will carry on for the whole of the tax year in which the change happens. But from the next year, you will no longer be entitled.
Okay.
And so you need to cancel your marriage allowance within the tax year that the change of circumstance happens. Yeah.
Okay.
So another change might be that your income has changed. So perhaps maybe you've gone back to full-time working, and therefore your income has gone over the personal allowance threshold.
Yeah.
Therefore, you are no longer eligible. Then you have to also report and cancel your claim.
Okay.
As always, a lot of people get caught into the trap where the circumstances have changed. They have not informed HMRC. They have not cancelled their claim, and claim goes through, throughout continuously into the future. HMRC realizes at some point that these people are not entitled to make this claim, and then before you know, a big bill lands on your table, and you're asked to pay back all this money. So it's absolutely important that people regularly, every year, check their circumstances, if it has changed, and whether they qualify for the claim or not, and then take the necessary or appropriate steps to rectify the situation.
Okay. Listeners, Starr Radio UK, Mr. Dan Tabiri, CEO of GL Accountancy Services, our money man, and today we were looking at marriage allowance. Now, before we go, he was going to put his contact details. I mean, he is not only there to talk about what you can do, how you can get the money, but when it comes to anything pertaining to your accounts, whether you are you are a corporate person, whatever you have a personal, whatever it is, when it comes to the account, he is there to guide you, to help you to do that as well. So he's going to put his contact details across, and then you listen to it and note it, and whenever you have the issue, you can contact him. Over to you, Mr. Tabiri.
Yeah, so if anyone needs any help with any tax or accounting advisory matters, I'm happy to speak to them on 079-6124-8834, 079-6124-8834. And if you call and you mention Starr Radio UK, automatically you are entitled to some generous discounts coming your way for any work that is required on your work.
Wow, it said generous, so you got to do so. All right then, Mr. Tabiri, let me say thank you very much for this wonderful time with you once again.
It's been a pleasure, and looking forward to speaking to you again soon.
All right then. Have a lovely day. We'll catch up later.
Right. Thank you.
Right then. Bye-bye. Well. So that has been Mr. Dan Tabiri, CEO of GL Accountancy Services, our money man. And today we were looking at the marriage allowance. Did you enjoy that? You see that you got some money coming in? Yeah. So if you have, then just make sure you do the right thing. If you need help, as he did, say contact him or contact an expert and they will help you on that. It's supposed to be straightforward though, but if there need be, then do so. Ola Akiyemi, good morning, good afternoon to you now. Bishola Oladele, I say you are listening. Thank you very much for listening as well. As many of you who joined us today on the program, I salute each and every one of you. But this is where I'm bringing the program to a close for today. We'll be bringing you another edition of the morning show on Monday. However, over the weekend there's going to be all the various programs that comes your way with the church service and KB Bossman's Faith Talk and all those. So yes, they'll all be going on. Tomorrow at dawn, from Wednesdays to Saturdays, we bring you the Power Hour, Command Your Morning, the prayer session time by the Power Word International Church. Yes, led by Reverend Michael K.M. Esiama. Yes, so he'll be bringing you another edition tomorrow dawn. That is from 5:30 exactly to 6:30. And this week he's been talking about the blood, the efficacy of the blood of Jesus. So make sure you make a date with him when he comes your way tomorrow. But that's why I bring the program to a close for today. And I salute each and every one of you. But before I take my bow, let's do this social and then we will bring you the last bit of it. Stay tuned. Don't you go away.
Like a river, I'll take my way.
The family and Christian community, friends and loved ones of Apostle Mark Nyako and Mrs. Victoria Nyako wishes to invite friends, sympathizers and loved ones to the 1 week observation at Newman Christian Center, 87 Bedington Lane, Croydon, CR0 4TDD. The event will be taking place on Friday, the 6th of October, 2023, from 6 to 9 p.m. Bus routes 466, 463, when Tramlink, Bedington Lane, and then there is free parking on the scene as well. So wherever you do, make your way there. For further information, please contact Evelyn 075 54 63 8421 or Kojo 073 75 92 8737 or Shula 079 83 59 1818. See you there. Ladies and gentlemen, this is where we bring in a program for a close to the close for today. It's been a pleasure coming your way again. I remain yours sincerely, the one and only Archie, and I say have a lovely weekend and see you all on Monday, God willing. Bye bye for now. Talkatives by Kofi Boham.
It's no secret in our world. People like to talk the things they know and the ones they don't. They will spread lies and rumors just to be known. So why are you wasting your time like this? Hearing those things that break your heart. Give no attention, give no thoughts. Cause people talk, but they'll never help you walk. So whenever they speak, look up and you will.
This is Starr Radio UK.
And a sheet and tell them.
Thanks for listening.
I'm writing names of properties. Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
Teacher will get you
time to waste.
No time to waste.
I'm writing names of talkers.
I'm writing names of talkers.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
all of
9.
this noise you're making on me.
Teacher, let them when you come.
Teacher will catch you when he comes. I have a race.
No time to waste.
No time to waste.
There are many voices in this life.